Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, you know what time of the month it is? It is the end of April, so it's time for the Retro News Roundup. And to say April had some absolutely massive surprises that absolutely nobody saw coming would be an understatement. We're going to kick it off right now with the news that the Neo Geo AES is coming back as the new Neo Geo AES Plus from PlayOn. And honestly, if you ask me at any point in time, would the Neo Geo return to the market with an actual console, release games, and even some teases of maybe new games coming to the AES, I would have never guessed that. If I was a betting man, I would have lost all my money because I would have said it just wasn't possible whatsoever. But the reality is, in 2026, the Neo Geo AES is coming back with new hardware, new controllers, and 10 reprinted games. And PlayOn has teased more games coming in the future, and even some developers have talked about bringing over games to the Neo Geo that have never been there before. Because if this thing pans out the way we all hope it does, the Neo Geo AES Plus could be on sale for some years and might actually turn into a thriving platform to quote-unquote compete against Sony, Nintendo, as well as Microsoft. And I want to live in a world where the Neo Geo AES is on the market and supported with not only legacy software reprinted for the AES, but also getting new games, because that is just something I never saw coming, and I'm absolutely so thrilled that that is in fact the case. Because if you know me and you know the channel, I've been talking about Neo Geo AES, MVS, Mr. FPJ, and otherwise since I basically started this channel. It is one of my favorite consoles to collect for, and as far as 2D consoles are concerned, it is absolutely my favorite piece of hardware ever to exist. And the idea that I'm going to be able to unbox a new Neo Geo AES Plus with custom ASICs in there based in part on the Mr. FPJ core, that is just a 10 out of 10, maybe even a 69 out of 10 fun thing to be able to say. And honestly, in my wildest of wild dreams, I never saw this one coming. I had heard a few hints around the edges that PlayOn might be releasing something Neo Geo related, but I just thought it would be another emulation box like all the other Neo Geo stuff we've seen, like the Neo Geo X, stuff like the mini MVS cabinets from SNK. Fun little curiosities, but nothing you'd really write home about. But I can't wait for November for this thing to actually show up at my doorstep and get an unboxing and full review and comparison, unless somehow I get a review unit earlier than that. Really not sure how PlayOn is planning on doing these things, but we've seen some prototype mockups, we've gotten some more information. Nothing as of the last video I did, but honestly in 2026, Neo Geo AES is back, and that is mind-blowing. Now jumping ahead a few generations, honestly the Twilight Princess PC port madness is absolutely heating up, and just recently I did a test of the most recent content creator build for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Courage Reborn. And in the month of April, not only did one but two different Twilight Princess PC ports get new previews out there, because there's also Twilight Princess Dusk. And if you're wondering why I haven't covered that as much, that's just because there isn't a build out there for me to actually work off of. Courage Reborn sends out builds to a couple different YouTubers, myself included, so I'm able to test it and kind of obtain the footage that I need to make the videos. A few people have asked if I don't like Dusk as much. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's just one of those things. I am a very show not tell person, and when I'm showing you something, I really want it to be something I've interacted with so I can more intelligently speak to the overall experience. But honestly, the Twilight Princess decomp didn't even hit 100% status all that long ago, and people were talking about the fact that it would probably be a couple of years until you saw a PC port actually get out into the public. It just seems like the Legend of Zelda community is trying to speedrun this one, because honestly I feel like we're only a month or two away from at least one of these ports actually getting out there in its 1.0 revision, or maybe at least in a beta. And that is absolutely exciting, because trust me, playing Twilight Princess on your PC in high definition with uncapped frame rates and all the quality of life improvements and mods you can get to, it is going to be a better fundamental experience for Twilight Princess than you've ever gotten before, no matter what platform you played it on, Wii U included. Now that we know Courage Reborn is getting a Switch port as well, it's probably going to be better than even what Nintendo puts out there. And don't get me wrong, I do appreciate that Nintendo brought the game back, but fans will always go the extra mile just to dedicate themselves to giving you the best possible scenario for something like Twilight Princess. So I would probably say maybe by the time America hits 250 years old, July 4th, you might be playing at least one of these ports, maybe both of them. But again, I'm using a little bit of conjecture here, a little bit of guessing, and a little bit of knowledge that I do have to kind of try to approximate when you might see it. But get excited, these things are going to be absolutely epic. Now moving over to the PlayStation Portable and the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike decomp, we obviously have the PC port, which updated in April, but we also got a port to the PlayStation Portable and even a version on Mr. FPJ. Suddenly in April, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is absolutely blowing up, and we have Hotego's core for Mr. FPJ in development as well. And even though he has stated that off the top it's only going to support the original Street Fighter 3 as well as Red Earth, and the other games are going to come later, suddenly Capcom CPS 3 and Street Fighter 3 in general are having a big year, especially a big April, and that's always exciting to see, because I will say this is some of the best fighting game goodness ever made out there. Although I will say, as far as fighting games are concerned, still more excited about Mark of the Wolves on AES Plus than I am Street Fighter 3, but that is personal preference. I know a ton of people prefer it, and honestly I'm totally cool with that. But if you haven't played any of the PC ports or PSP ports, or even the Mr. port of Third Strike, you have to do it. It's also going to be our first soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen for a bit, but come back because I got a lot more news for you. Now moving back to the Legend of Zelda PC ports, but jumping from 3D down to 2D, this is a work in progress build of the Legend of Zelda Minish Cap PC port. This isn't something that is available now. It was sent to me from the developer, and it is still work in progress status. But honestly, I absolutely love this game, and I think it's one of the best portable Zeldas ever made, because it really kind of feels like a brighter, cheerier version of A Link to the Past, where the DS games, while they were a ton of fun, kind of felt a little bit too far removed from how I grew up seeing the Legend of Zelda games kind of unfold in front of my eyes. And it's one of those things, this is going to be absolutely outstanding when it is finished, because even though I own multiple Game Boy Advance handhelds, if I'm going to play Game Boy Advance games, I do it one of two ways, either on my Steam Deck for portable, or on my Mr. FPJ and my C4 LG OLED as far as actual TV time is concerned, because these big pixels, these bright colors, absolutely sing on an OLED TV, and at this point in time, more often than not, I don't travel all that much for work. I mostly work from home, so it's one of those things where I don't really have the need for too many handhelds when I'm actually going to play a game. But in my testing of this, and you've already probably seen the video, it's absolutely shaping up to be a really great experience, and honestly, the more PC ports of Legend of Zelda games we can get, the better. So in 2026, you're going to have 2 different PC ports of Twilight Princess, and you're also going to have a Minish Cap PC port as well. And obviously there's other Legends of Zelda games being decompiled currently, although none of them are close enough to 100% to really start a port. What I always love to remind you in videos is you don't need 100% decompiled status to start a port. So long as you have the majority of the code, you can kind of start the work and then fill it in from there when more things get decompiled. It might not be the most efficient workflow, but it is something that can be done, so I always want to remind you guys about that. But you tell me, Twilight Princess or Minish Cap PC port, which one are you more excited about? For me personally, it's basically a dead heat tie, because both games are so similar yet so different at the same time. We're really getting a best of both worlds situation here. And honestly, as a Legend of Zelda fan, and I know a lot of you out there as well are excited about this, it's just a fun reality to live in, where we're getting PC ports that Nintendo refused to give us. Now going to a completely different genre, one of my favorite things in April was Doom Deluxe, and honestly in the comments a lot of people were excited about this, and there was a lot of views. A couple people just didn't like the overall art style, and that is fine, as I always like to remind you in the comments, not everything is for everyone, and if you're not excited about something, there's probably a ton of people out there that are. I have played through this from start to finish in my spare time, and the overall speed, the fun new animations, almost like the achievement status of things you get in the game, just basically makes it feel like a Doom that was made in 2026 as a classic style boomer shooter, and not a Doom that came out in the 90s that you just so happen to be playing today in 2026 with some mods. If you release this thing for $10 right now onto major platforms, Steam, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and Switch 2, it would absolutely, in my opinion, get epic reviews and sell a ton of copies. but the good thing is this is a free download for UZ Doom. All you need to do is bring your legally owned Doom WAD file along for the ride, and you're going to be playing this thing. And take it from me, I absolutely love this. It is a straight up 10 out of 10, and I'm always impressed with what the modding community is doing out there. Because the reality of the situation is Doom is an incredibly old game, but via metamorphosis, i.e. modification, you can take something like the original Doom, turn it into Doom Deluxe, and make it feel like a brand new game. And that is why Doom will never truly get old. Yes, the graphics might be a bit antiquated, yes, we've played it 100 times before, but stuff like Doom Deluxe makes it feel like the first time you played for the 40th time, and that definitely is a testament to just how good it is. It's also going to be our next soundtrack sample, so listen, and I'll be right back with a bit more news. Now, one of my favorite things from the month of April is the fact that Ridge Racer 3-screen or 3-monitor version has been dumped and is now 100% playable in a custom fork of MAME. If you know me and you know the channel, you know I absolutely love arcade racing games, and even I'll always say Sega did it slightly better than Namco. The original Ridge Racer as well as Ridge Racer 2 and Rave Racer, still some of the best arcade games ever made. And trust me, at this point in time, if you see a 3-screen Ridge Racer cabinet out in the wild, give it all the money in your pocket because you're probably never going to see one of those again. And for the longest time, this thing was not dumped, but a collector out there actually purchased a cabinet, went ahead and dumped all of the ROMs for the 3-screen version, and then worked to make it work in MAME. It is quite the complex setup because you have to have 3 different instances of MAME all networked together via software so they can communicate and render the screen as you see here. But the effect is absolutely awesome, and because I do have dual ultra-wide monitors for my editing PC, which is technically also my gaming PC, but it is custom built for editing, this thing looks even better because you can basically extend the 3 screens and give yourself a perfect ultra-wide look. Yes, there is a little bit of bezel still going on, but otherwise, this is the type of stuff I always love talking about because it isn't just a fun new version of an absolutely classic game, but it also is video game preservation through and through. Because if it wasn't for this one willing person buying a cabinet and dumping it for everyone, it would still be a game you're not able to play. And even though I totally understand, we still have the original Ridge Racer, and you can play it on the single screen variant. Something like the triple screen version being preserved so everyone can enjoy it for all time is probably the coolest and most unexpected thing in April outside of Neo Geo AES, and honestly, that just has to win. Now moving over to a physical, tangible product, this is something that a member of the 3DO community actually made and has available for people. It is Lucian's Quest. This is reproduced by a member of the 3DO community called Erica, and I have never seen, and honestly, across all platforms, a reproduction that is this faithful to not only the original packaging, but also of this high quality. And I totally get they sent it to me and said, there's no expectations of you talking about it on the channel. I just appreciate what you've done for the 3DO community, dumping games and always hyping up the console. But I did get this thing for free, but that in any way, shape, or form colors my opinion about it. If it wasn't something I loved, I wouldn't talk about it. I would just say thank you. And honestly, if you've looked at the price of real long box Lucian's Quest, trust me, it is definitely expensive and you don't want to spend that money even though the game is great. And it's one of those things, the reproduction quality is amazing here. A bunch of the money goes to support 2 different charities, and apparently they've raised over $3,000 right now. And one of the nicest things is, this is not a CDR, you get a full color manual. This thing basically feels like a brand new product. When you turn the disc around, it is pressed, and that absolutely makes a big difference. So if you ever wanted a copy of Lucian's Quest, I will leave a link in the description below. 10 out of 10 RPG on 3DO, and now it exists as a physical project that isn't an actual mortgage payment. And the last bit of fun retro news from the month of April, I could have put it in the quote-unquote emulation video, but it isn't emulation, of course, it is a PC port, is the fact that Jak 3 has come to Open Goal. If you haven't played around with Open Goal yet, the original Jak and Daxter, Jak 2, and now Jak 3 100% work within that game engine as far as actually porting these games over to PC. I should call it more of a launcher than an engine, but it kind of functions a little bit like both because it has an entire modification engine under the hood as well. And it's one of those things, gaming, recomps, and PC ports are absolutely blowing up in 2025, and having Jack 3 available as well is just an awesome experience, definitely one you should check out. But that is the retro news for the month of April, and if you're wondering, I don't put every single retro topic I talk about in these videos. I kind of curate them for sort of the greatest hits and the things that made me the happiest. And of course, in the month of April, it is absolutely no contest. The Neo Geo AES coming back in November is the Neo Geo AES Plus. I never saw it coming. I'm absolutely happy to see the excitement out there. And as a Neo Geo collector for the last 25 years or so, I am absolutely in on this thing. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what your favorite retro news was from the month of April. I would be curious, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.